Rise and Shine Rwanda, it's Wednesday the 13th of May.
Coming up on today's Rise and Shine Rwanda.
We talk about taking your business to the next level.
We sit down with the national basketball team captain.
And we profile a media mogul in the making.
Good morning, it's just after 7 o'clock in the morning and you're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Regis Isheja.
And me, Makeda Mahario. Over the next hour, we'll be bringing you all the latest news, sports, and lifestyle headlines from here in Rwanda and around the world. And of course, the Rise and Shine team are here with us in studio. Tell me, what do you have for us in the world of money, Fidelis?
Well, apart from the fact that, we're making other deals with Ethiopia as well, great, really good stuff. NIAB has new plans for the agricultural sector, and I get to tell you all about it in the business news today.
Okay, looking forward to that. And Arnold, in the world of sports?
Champions League again. Regis' team is in trouble today. And then we talk to the captain of the national basketball team.
Okay, that sounds good. I need to pick a team too, I think.
West Indies?
We'll have to discuss. You know what? West Indies all day. Okay, anyways, all that and more is still to come. But first, Rise and Shine story of the day.
It's all about business, successful transformations, and answering when the market calls. Africa Innovation Day, a yearly event that aims at making new technologies work for the modern enterprise, took place in Kigali yesterday with a specific focus on finding solutions that will enable you to take your businesses to the next level. Take a look. Whether we're talking about hardware, software, or making new technologies work for the modern enterprise, it was all there at the Africa Innovation Day 2015. This is where technology sessions mean simplifying strategies of how to be ahead of the curve.
We don't have huge enterprises, in fact, in Kigali, but the enterprises which is coming up very aggressively in IT technologies, they are adopting that IT technology very, very quickly. They for payments or for any utilities, all the utilities using IT as a tool. Mostly we are using a lot of mobile payments systems and things like that. And most of the technologies use IT as the very base. And most of the things interacting with core bankings, banks and things like that.
As the event took place in Kigali, American giant Oracle sees in the country limitless potential when it comes to taking businesses to the next level.
Because of the strategy of Rwanda to place the country's plan ahead, to utilize IT expertise, to develop skills within the region here and its central location, I see a lot more innovation days to be held here in Rwanda.
It was also a platform for customers to talk about successful business transformations and also an opportunity to network with peers who are facing similar challenges.
It's not just a one-page quote. You have to sit with the customer, listen to the pain points, discover the challenge, build with them a solution that will mostly comprise hardware and software and licenses.
One of the major key factors that we have on the ground here is one, there's a government initiative, there's government support, there's government strategy to develop the ICT sector, to have comparative economies advantage within the region, to have comparative advantage compared to other regional countries, to utilize ICT as the vehicle to grow the economy. So based on that, we also have an initiative and drive from the youth who are so much interested in ICT We see a lot of innovation on the ground in application space.
If you talk about Kigali, you can see like in terms of power, we are self-sufficient. We don't have power cuts, or we don't have in terms of utilizing the IT tools, we are ahead of others. We started using maybe using a mobile app to order food, or we are using mobile app to transfer money to somebody else. These all are innovations from IT industry, and people are booking buses using a mobile app, or go to website and book the buses and things like that.
How many of those people make sure you attend next year's edition? Regis Isheja, Rise and Shine Rwanda. And joining us right now is George Ndirangu, presenter at CNBC Africa, a friend of the show. Welcome to the show, George.
Thank you very much for having me, Reg and Mike.
All right, so what we heard Mahesh said, what we heard Mahesh say in the report is that Rwanda is a business-friendly place for companies like Oracle and Intel and all these other companies to actually come here and want to do business. What do they see in Rwanda? What do they love in Rwanda that makes the country business-friendly?
Well, we can just start on it from a statistical point of view. Rwanda has about 3.2 million users, internet users. So what this means is that each and every day there is more consumption of content online, there is more cloud consumption, there is more data consumption. So businesses on their end are seeing that this is a market that needs to be tapped into, and the consumers are not necessarily receiving the data that they need for the businesses through normal ways that have been happening over the past decade. They don't get it through papers, they don't get it through hand-to-hand, they get it online, literally online. So businesses are now coming to the realization that if our businesses are not integrated online, if we don't have business systems, if we don't have proper security, then our businesses can't flourish, because it is a market that needs to be properly tapped into.
Now, you being someone you're quite adept at business, you studied in school, and now you have your show that's all about business. But did you learn anything new at this conference that you went to?
What they were showing was not necessarily something new. They were just bringing together options. They were creating a portfolio for people who have already currently running businesses, or people who have a basis of knowledge on the ICT sector. So what they're doing is that Oracle brings together businesses that have, Oracle themselves are a hardware and software company. So what they do is that they have a very selfless convention where they bring in people who deal with the XP, Oracle, the X5, different kinds of systems, integrated systems that allow you to see how your pocket fits. So if you can afford this kind of a system, they tell you, do this, but this is what you will achieve, and this is how far you will go with your consumption and your reach and the capacity that you will be able to have within your business. So that's what they do. And I think for me, I just got the realization that there are very many options, and that they're being brought from reading about it online to actually being in Rwanda.
Brought to life. Right.
Brought to life here in Rwanda, yeah, which is something really new.
Now, one thing that got a chuckle from the crowd was when one of the presenters was talking about how when you're selling a car, for example, you have to make sure that you know who you're selling the car to, what bracket he's in, what he can afford. And then one person got up and said, I'll make sure that when I go buy a car, I don't bring my wife along. Do Rwandans understand what they're capable of buying? I mean, are they aware of what's out there?
Maybe just give me, I don't know whether we're short of time, but just let me give you a slight comparison so that you can see where Rwanda is coming from. Now, in 2011, let's just compare two countries. Let's say the leading in the region, of course, setting the blueprint is Kenya. So in 2011, Kenya was where Rwanda is now. Rwanda has 3.2 million users now. In 2011, Kenya had 3.1 million. Right now, Kenya has 26.1 million. So you can imagine the reason why Kenya has moved so far is because it has, over the past 4 years, it has integrated a dedicated integrated system into ICT, a dedicated sector in ICT, and they have long-term implementation of ICT. So anything that they set their minds to do in the ICT-related sector, they follow through with it. So Rwanda has just started that system where they set something, they did it with the 4G, of course. long-term implementation is still a problem, and infrastructure is still a problem because of some constraints. But Rwanda is slowly building up to that, with that momentum, and very soon it will probably surpass Tanzania and Uganda in terms of internet consumption. But we can see that people are now moving from a system where they get the information by word of mouth to actually consuming almost all of it, 60 to 70% online. But of course, there's still some challenges in the ICT sector.
So we hear about it all the time. We talk about it all the time here on the show. We know that Rwanda is a burgeoning industry when it comes to ICT and different things like that. And we're really, really trying, right? But what is it that we can do? Because we know that we haven't necessarily tapped into our full potential, of course, and we're going to be growing. But what can we do? What can the average Joe do to, you know, help that along, help it go a little bit faster?
All right, so I think Rwanda is plagued by 4 main challenges. And number one is that we still have lack of a skilled workforce. In terms of, we're talking about so much 4G penetration and designing this and designing that, but
We need to get back to basics.
We need to get back to basics. Well, Rwanda is past the basics because we can see people doing so much. We have some of these ICT giants in Rwanda who are doing it big in very many countries, like Nabukobwa of Caleb, who's currently in Japan and things like that. But now Rwanda needs to go back and start with the vocational training and setting up a certain skill base that is still lacking in Rwanda. There's a lot that needs to be taught, but it's just being people are just moving along. You know, you're just getting the basics and then you think that's enough. But it's not enough. If you want to be an ICT hub, you need to have ICT knowledge. Excel and Word and designing an app might not necessarily take you to the next level like other countries, but you need to understand some of these integrated systems like building of a database and securing the database and cyber drills and cyber attacks and mitigating some of these issues. So that's the step that we're yet to reach. Number two is that there's still a problem in terms of the reach that the internet has had. People in the rural areas or people in the outskirts of Kigali don't necessarily have the same information that we have in Kigali. So that's also a big problem.
Right.
And number three, of course, we have an issue of the broadband connectivity, which we've been talking about for the longest time.
And we're addressing, everybody's addressing.
Yes, we are really trying to address that, but of course, as we said before, implementation on a long term is still a problem. It's implemented, especially when it's noted to the public, they try to follow it up over 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, but after 2-3 years, there's still a problem with that.
Well, hopefully we're going to be following in Kenya's footsteps, and we're going to be.
And it only took about 7 months to get you on the show. Hopefully you'll be back sooner.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming
George.
in.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you are watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Here is to traveling and saving. Starting 1st of April to the 1st of June, travel with Rwandair and take advantage of our reduced fares and enjoy our world-class services in great comfort and safety.
Fly our dream to the heart of Africa.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Business Now, as I call it, the money. Fidelis Karangwa has the details.
Business Stories by Headlines Today. The cost of doing business within the East African community is expected to reduce following the establishment of the East African Freight and Logistics Platform. The platform aimed at promoting dialogue on the national and regional logistics is expected to enhance competitiveness by reducing the cost of operations. Officials say this would also contribute towards improving the quality of services by enhancing the collaboration between government agencies and the private sector. 10 Ethiopian companies from the leather industry are in the country to foster trade ties with Rwanda counterparts. This comes shortly after the two countries signed a partnership agreement to promote trade and economic relations, where investors are currently exploring different investment opportunities and markets for leather products in Rwanda. It is hoped that this will help put in place mechanisms to encourage trade and help address problems that hinder business between the two countries. And revenue from agricultural exports is set to increase following a 5-year strategic plan by the National Agricultural Export Board to increase productivity and value addition along the value chain. The strategy, which targets to increase annual growth of agricultural exports across all sectors, seeks to achieve an average annual growth rate of 24% in tea exports, with consequent annual tea exports receipts of over $19 million by 2018 from $65 million that was made in 2013. You're up to date today's business headlines. Post news coming up next in just a minute with Arnold Quizera.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Time now for your sports news. I'm Arnold Quizera. Starting with Taekwondo, the national Taekwondo team will seek qualification to the Rio 2016 Olympic Games when the World Taekwondo Championships get underway today at the Tractor Arena in Russia. 17-year-old Delphine Uwababyeyi will face her first challenge against an opponent from Botswana in the under 46 kilogram category, while Regis Iyumva will also be up against an opponent from Morocco in the under 58 kilogram category. This is the second time Rwanda is competing at the World Championships, having made a debut appearance at the 23rd edition in Pueblo, Mexico, where they finished 40th in the world and 6th on the African continent. The top 6 Taekwondo fighters on the World Taekwondo Federation Olympic rankings and the top 2 at every continental qualification tournament will qualify for the Rio Olympic Games in all the 4 weight categories for both the men and women's categories. On to the Champions League. Real Madrid go into today's Champions League semi-final second leg against Juventus, looking to prevent their season from further unraveling, chasing a first Premier Division crown in 3 years and becoming the first team to win the back-to-back Champions League titles. Madrid have seen their hopes both suffer serious blows in the past week, while their fitness problems have deepened. Going into the first leg of a semi-final for which they were strong favourites, Madrid were caught cold by Juventus in Turin. The Italian champions will now take a 2-1 first leg advantage to the Spanish capital after Alvaro Morata and Carlos Tevez scored either side of Cristiano Ronaldo's equalizer, and Madrid's mood will since have been worsened by a 2-2 draw at home to Valencia that gives Barcelona a 4-point advantage in the La Liga with just 2 matches remaining. Real are set to welcome back the services of Karim Benzema, though Gareth Bale and Toni Kroos will have to pass late fitness tests. Aristide Mugabe is the captain of the national basketball team and point guard for Espoir Basketball Club. I caught up with a 3-time consecutive national champion on who he is and what he thinks about Rwandan basketball. Take a look. Very few sports disciplines have given the Rwandan sports fraternity something to smile about, and over the past few years, a few sportsmen have been at the helm of this stardom. One of those is the national basketball team captain Aristide Mugabe, who went on to form a big part of the core of the Rwandan team that was victorious at the Zone 5 National Championships and led Rwanda to the Afro Basketball Championships. But who is Aristide Mugabe, and what does basketball mean to him?
Ko ndi umuntu usanzwe nyina ikipe ya Espoir nkaba ndi umukinnyi ukunda gutsinda, nkaba buri gihe nkina bashaka gutsinda, nkora icyo shoboye cyose kugira ngo ikipe yanjye itsinde, kuko njye ntago nshobora gutsinda ikipe yanjye yatsinzwe, ariko ikipe yanjye itsinze nanjye mba natsinze. Buri gihe ni umuntu ushaka gutsinda, buri gihe mbashaka kwiga ibintu bishyashya, mbashaka gutera intambwe buri munsi, avuga ko buri gihe mbashaka kongeraho aho ngeze intera yisumbuye. Basket navuga ko ari nk'ubuzima kuri njyewe, kuko nayitangiye kera, igenda ifasha muri byinshi, avuga ko niyo nakuriyemo niga nkina basket, ndinda ndangiza amashuri ya secondaire ndetse na kaminuza byose nkina basket. Avuga ko usibye wenda nk'ishuri n'akazi ubu ngubu, ariko ubundi nta kindi kintu nkora usibye basket cyane cyane.
Having qualified for the 2013 Africa Basketball Championships, Rwanda's failure to qualify for this year's tournament is one of the dark clouds hanging above this 27-year-old's head.
Navuga ko ibihe bibi ari ubwo twatakazaga Zone 5 i Burundi mu 2013, ndetse na Memorial Gisembe hano iwacu muri 2013 nabwo ndumva.
A few years ago, Rwanda was singled out as an emerging powerhouse, but this promise has not been seen through. So what does he think went wrong?
Navuga ko basket ikintu ubona kidinizamo ni ukubera ko basket itangiriye hasi guhera za primaire secondaire hakabaho kwita ku bana cyane cyane yaba byiza, ariko ni ibintu bisaba budget nini, bisaba ibibuga bya basket ubona ko bihenze bikiri ikibazo.
The 2015 National League has been the most competitive in a long time, and the Espoir Basketball Club point guard is keen to point out some of those tough opponents he has faced thus far.
Ni ikibazo gikomeye, gusa navuga ko ubu ngubu abakinnyi benshi ubona ko bari kuri niveau iri kuzamuka. Navuga nka Steve wo muri IPRC, navuga nka witwa Patrick wo muri Patriot.
Any ambitious player emulates some of the best in his position, and Mugabe does not shy away from naming some of his current idols.
Ngewe ku giti cyane nkunda Derrick Rose wo muri Chicago Bulls.
Multiple league titles, a Zone 5 championship, and having led Rwanda at the Afro Basketball Games in Cote d'Ivoire, Aristide Mugabe is a living legend of basketball in Rwanda. Arnold Kwizera, Rise and Shine, Rwanda.
See, I want to meet that gentleman. You know, his favorite point guard is Derrick Rose.
I knew you had to say something about
I
that.
think him and I can get along really well. All right.
Not looking good for the Bulls despite
it's
that.
It's 2-2. Let's wait until we get back from Cleveland. All right. So when you think about basketball in Rwanda and what Aristide has been able to do, you name him a living legend, and rightfully so, he is. I'm from the era where APR and Espoir were really good in the 90s.
Okay.
At CSK, and I don't know ever since what happened, but what I know is that we haven't truly reached our full potential. What's missing?
I think administratively it went wrong. That's trying to change. We talked about it earlier, I think, this week.
Right.
Basketball, the way the administration was ambitious earlier on, the way the money was being trickled down, they had very few funds, but they were presenting results. So when the money came in, when the government increased on their budget, it became worse. You know, you expected it to get better. I think so many sports, basketball is an example of so many sports in Rwanda that are working on miracles because of the love for the game by so many of these players. You know, a player like him, he knows he can't depend on basketball alone. He has to have a bank job, you know, to be able to supplement on what he gets from basketball. But when you look at a player like Aristide Mugabe, he's an example to so many young aspiring players, because so many point guards you look at right now in Rwandan basketball, the likes of Stevie, the likes of Patrick, he mentioned, Ivan Nwema, they will tell you that they want to be like Aristide Mugabe because he's the cornerstone of what you'll call point guards in Rwanda. Maybe you will look at Gasana, who's not. I don't think he's going to come back and play for the national team after the naturalized players incident. But that was another great player for the Rwanda national team. And Mugabe, if I was a young player today and I want a player to look up to, it would be Aristide Mugabe. And he's now preparing for the military games. The National League is still ongoing, and he still has to Espoir to lead to the playoffs of this year's league.
All right, now, Taekwondo, it feels like every day you and I are talking about Rio 2016, and that's when you can tell that it's really close. Is this a discipline that can actually provide athletes that are going to be going to Brazil?
I think it can provide participants for Rwanda, not winners. Taekwondo is one sport that has won Rwanda at least a trophy every month. An international trophy every month. And it's so shocking with the manner in which it is handled by the Rwanda National Olympic Committee. Because the head of Taekwondo in Rwanda, the person using their own funds to lead Taekwondo, was taken into the Olympic Committee. They tried to bring a few changes in the Olympic Committee, and then they were told, they were pushed back, their powers were cut. This is a sport that's not funded at all by the Rwanda National Olympic Committee budget. It's by a few funds from a gentleman called Martin Kuz. We had him on the show here a few months back. And by just the mere fact that they're getting all these results, I think some recognition should be given to this sport, and there are higher chances of us getting a representative in taekwondo than sending the under-23 team, you know, to Rio de Janeiro in 2016.
Now, something that's really dear to my heart, I mean, when Real Madrid loses, I lose sleep. I'm not the same person the following day.
You don't want to pick up phone calls?
Believe me, you do not want to see me tomorrow if we do lose tonight. But what are realistically our chances at Santiago Bernabeu to come up with something positive today? Because when you think about it, La Liga is for Barcelona now to lose. Juventus beat us 2-1 at Stadio delle Alpi in
You're
Torino.
out of the Copa del Rey.
We're out of the Copa del Rey. So I'm asking myself here, Luka Modric, who to me is the orchestrator in the midfield. He's like a young Zidane in a way. You don't have him. Benzema is playing, but how is he going to be playing? I don't know. Gareth Bale and Toni Kroos have to pass exams. I mean, how are we doing? And then Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't been himself lately.
I think Cristiano Ronaldo has missed Benzema up front. 1 month away, Karim Benzema is a big... I think that's when you notice his contribution. Luka Modric, ever since he got injured, it started Madrid's decline. So much of what Ronaldo used to produce used to come from the supply chain of Luka Modric. He will not give that final pass, but he will be in that build-up to that goal, and he will have that pass that could swing momentum.
He controls the midfield.
He controls the midfield, especially. But now Juventus have Paul Pogba back, which is not easy
As
for
if
Real
we didn't
Madrid.
have enough problems, right?
Yes, Juventus have a very fit squad.
Carlos Tevez, Chiellini,
Andrea Pirlo, you know,
who's forever,
Marchisio. You know, Patrice Evra has been
I
there.
think you have Buffon still in the cage. I mean,
exactly.
I'm worried. I'm really worried.
I think it won't be an easy fixture for Real Madrid. I'll still put my money on Real Madrid to progress. Cristiano Ronaldo will step up to the plate when it matters most. He is the player for these moments. I think Marcelo, with the Bernabeu crowd, I think Real Madrid will come out victorious in this fixture.
Now, but quickly before we wrap up, Carlo Ancelotti once coached Juventus. Do you think before the game there's a pep talk? He tells them about the way they play, because it's not the same coach, but at the same time, he's familiar with the style.
Yeah, but the Juventus of Conte and the Juventus of Massimo Allegri and the Juventus of Carlo Ancelotti are two different sides. The other one was a very defensive Juventus with the likes of Edgar Davids in there. When you look at this Juventus today, it's more of an overall, it's a very balanced team. They don't have an individual player out there. They
don't play an Italian style of game.
You could say Carlos Tevez, maybe with his 49 goals in 50 matches, is a spark, but he's part of a whole system whereby if he drops out, Morata can go on and score those goals. Llorente can go on and score those goals if he drops out. So this Juventus is more of a unit than what Carlo Ancelotti had with the Trezeguets back in the day. I don't think it will matter a lot, but I think they will share some wine after the game, and I still feel Real Madrid will go through.
Your words to God's ears. Hopefully you're right. Thank you very much, Arnold. All right, you're watching Rise and Shine Run Now. We'll be right back after the break.
Let's take a look now at newsmaking headlines here in Rwanda and around the world.
His Excellency President Paul Kagame called on the police to ensure maximum discipline while providing required security and safety to Rwandan citizens. President Kagame was speaking during the pass-out ceremony of over 400 police cadet officers who completed their training course at the Police Training Academy in Gishari, in Rwamagana district. He emphasized that, quote, "Our country must give its people what they deserve. They deserve development, not hunger, bad governance, and insecurity." The training school has grown into a center that also recruits officers from across the continent.
High school students from across the region have vowed to fight any form of manipulation that could lead to violence in their societies. This was said during an event held in Butare dubbed Advancing Our Thoughts Peacefully, embracing a non-violent culture among the youth in Great Lakes region. Students from Rwanda, Burundi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo participated in team-building exercises, intercultural exchange, and sessions that educated them on conflict resolution. Officials said that the exercise was aimed at helping the youth overcome stereotypes and prejudices that have led to past conflicts in the region.
In regional news, Burundian President Pierre Nkurunziza rejected an appeal from the European Union and the United States to delay the June 26 presidential election. Nkurunziza reportedly told British broadcaster BBC that postponing the vote would worsen the situation in the country. The EU and the US have urged the head of state earlier in the week to delay the elections to help calm the situation in the country, which has been faced with daily protests since he announced his intention to seek a third term. At least 18 people have been killed, with more than 50,000 fleeing the neighboring countries.
And in international news, a major earthquake has struck eastern Nepal 2 weeks after more than 8,000 people were killed in a devastating quake. The latest earthquake, with a magnitude of 7.4, hit the near town of Namche Bazar near Mount Everest. The latest tremor was felt as far away as the Indian capital New Delhi, as well as Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh. Strong tremors were felt in the capital of Nepal, Kathmandu, which was badly damaged in last month's earthquake. Around 8 million people in Nepal, which has a total population of 28 million, have been affected by the disaster. Okay, lots more still to come. Lifestyle is up next. Plus, we take a look at what's hot right now in our daily debate section, Hot Topics. We'll be right back.
Here is to traveling and saving. Starting 1st of April to the 1st of June, travel with Rwandair and take advantage of our reduced fares and enjoy our world-class services in great comfort and safety.
Fly our dream to the heart of Africa.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Lifestyle now. Makeda, what do you have for us?
I have a personality profile of someone who's getting there. He's getting really big in media, man.
I wonder who that is.
Uh-huh. Today I'm profiling an MC, a journalist, an entrepreneur, and an honorary member of the Rise and Shine family. Yup, this man has provided us with his analysis of the newspaper headlines on a number of occasions. But that's the least of his credentials. He recently won an award for his journalism from the Rwanda Governance Board, won a Creative Hub grant, and he's produced several shows, one of which is coming right here to RTV. Some call him MC Ken, some call him Eugene Anangwe. Get to know him yourself. Check it out.
My name is Eugene Anangwe. I'm a broadcast journalist and I specialize mostly in radio, but I have a love and passion for TV.
Upon invitation, Eugene Anangwe traveled from his native Kenya here to Rwanda to pursue a career in media, and that he did. Having been here for only a few years, Eugene has already made a name for himself in Rwandan media.
There's a guy who I was working with, and he started receiving emails, and he told me, listen, there's a radio station in Rwanda that is looking for talent. They're interested in starting their news in English, and would you be interested? I said, yes, of course. So I gave him my number, and of course I prepared my CV. Of course I also gave him that. And after some weeks, I started receiving phone calls from Rwanda. And we started engaging on how possible it would be for me to join the team here in Rwanda. So what I said is I would like us to have a meeting, a face-to-face meeting, so that we can be able to talk more in detail about what exactly they would want me to do here. I got interviewed, qualified for the interview, and after a few weeks they told me, listen, we'd like you to come to Rwanda for at least 4 days, come and see if you'd love the environment, if you'd like the place, and also get an orientation of what you would be doing when you come here. So they organized the trip. I came to Rwanda, spent 4 days, checked the newsroom, met the team here, and I told them I love it. And they asked me, would you be willing to move from your country and come and settle in Rwanda? And I was like, really? I had to discuss this with my family, and they were like, Rwanda, that time the perception was all about the genocide that happened here. But I was like, I think there's a role that I can play in coming and being a player in the media industry to facilitate or to play a role in growing the sector. And that's when I took that challenge. I said, I'm going to leave my family, I'm going to leave my home and come to settle here. And so far, I've loved the place.
Having collaborated already with some of Rwanda's biggest media houses, this media mogul in the making has racked up experience normally reserved for someone twice his age.
Well, within me, there are two personalities. There's one who is MC Ken, totally different from Eugene Anangwe. MC Ken is an MC, he's an entertainer. Normally, you'll find him at nightclubs, MCing at different social activities or events, and, hosting radio shows that have entertainment in them. And Eugene Anangwe is that serious one who will sit with you on one-on-one, ask you some questions, try to grill you or find out why you're not doing your job properly. And so, for me, these two people are my very good friends, and they are all good in what they do at the specific time that they are both performing what they are doing. So I'm able to accommodate both of them in this one person you see in front of you.
Eugene Anangwe, Contact FM. Based on some of the different people...
Yeah, I see you on Twitter several times. Go ahead.
Yes. So the issue for...
Eugene has done a great job with getting his name out there by providing a lot of content and being very active on social media.
Twitter specifically has helped me a lot in getting in touch with my fans of the show and those who also look up to me in different ways. It has also helped me to be able to put my work out there. Most of the time when we finish a show, we upload it on YouTube and we tweet the link. And it has definitely helped me get in touch with some guests that I did not have their contacts, or sometimes even some tweets have suggested people that I should interview on the show just through Twitter. So it's another added thing that I would want to request those people who are aspiring to have talk shows or do anything in media, try incorporate social media as a platform to market what you do. It's a good platform.
Something tells us this is only the beginning for this Renaissance man. Makeda Mahario, Rise and Shine Rwanda. And we have the man himself, Eugene Anangwe, in studio right now. Welcome to the show once again. You are not a newbie here, actually. This is your first time sitting on this seat, though, I think.
On Reggie's position, to be specific.
How does it feel?
The coach is warm.
So tell me, I mentioned just briefly in the video that you won a Creative Hub grant, and we well, some of us may know, some of us may not know that with these kind of grants, you can start up your business or you can sustain your business. They help you, they give you training, they give you some money. What is it that you plan to do with your money?
You see, content provision is something that is really needed in this country, especially for media houses that are here. I've been in this field for a lot of time, and the challenge we always had was access to finance our activities and projects.
Right.
We used to host a show called In Sync here on Rwanda TV, and tell you what, I used to use every penny that we needed on that show from my own pocket. And it got to a point I could not be able to sustain that, and that's why the show came off air. But you see, with such grants, we will be able now to finance some of those projects and even better projects than those ones. So expect more content and high quality content from me.
So many people know your radio show One on One that comes on Contact. You've kind of gotten a lot of airtime out of that, right?
Yeah.
Now you have another show that's coming to RTV that's going to be a similar, from what I understand, a similar concept. Tell us about what's coming to RTV.
It may not be that similar. The only thing that will be similar is that there will be the same host of One on One hosting this particular talk show on Rwanda Television. But the difference from this one, between One on One and this one that is coming soon, is that we will have multiple guests, and we'll now change One on One to specifically mean or have what the name suggests, one on one. So it will be one host, one guest. That is what we'll leave for One on One. But for this one that is coming soon on Rwanda TV, we'll have multiple guests to debate rigorously on issues that affect people in this particular country. We want to build the culture of debate. Many people complain and say, oh, you know, people don't debate here, they don't talk about certain issues that affect them. But it's time to be a part of that solution, and that is what I want to do with this particular new show that is coming on Rwanda TV very soon.
So one of the things that people love about One on One, and why so many people tune in, is because you have controversial guests sometimes. You ask them the hard questions that other people are sometimes afraid to ask. There are a lot of things that sometimes journalists are afraid to approach here in Rwanda especially, and you kind of just go in head on. Do you never feel a bit nervous about asking certain questions or inviting certain people on your show?
You'll realize that from the guests that I've had and I've asked this particular question, some people have always said at the end of that show, these guys maybe had a brawl or a fight, or they'll never talk to each other after this.
Yes, you're quite hard.
But I'll tell you that after each particular show, we always have the one-on-one handshake. And after the show, we always have this particular chat that, you know, it was just about getting answers. And people need to learn to be responsible to their subject, the people who they are leading. So at the end of the day, what happens in this particular show, it's all about doing your research well. Once you have your research well, that is your weapon, that's your ammunition. And any guest that comes on the show that needs to be put on the spot, we always have the information that we need to ask you. And we are not doing it to get even with you or to get personal with you. It's just about getting the answers to those things that people want to know. Why are you not performing well? Why are things the way they are?
So you've never had someone get a little bit touchy about it, a little bit upset?
Never. The only show that some people had a misconception or misperception on was the show that we had with Bob Mugabe.
That we showed there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Some people are like, oh, Eugene, you were too hard on him. Oh, Eugene, you kind of became personal on him. But listen, one-on-one is also about profiling someone and getting to understand where they come from with the kind of statements that they make, with the kind of perceptions that they have on different issues. So that show, because we did not have anybody else on the other side that Bob Mugabe is against, I had to play that particular role.
You certainly did. So tell us, you know, I mentioned also in the video that you're actually coming from Kenya, and anyone who hears your accent would probably recognize that.
Oh, I thought now I speak more like a Rwandan.
You're still rolling your R's. So tell me, you know, someone would think Kenya is a much bigger market than is here. You know, you could probably have more viewers, make more money, or whatever the case may be in Kenya. Why is it that you're so, I don't know, loyal to Rwanda?
For me, the loyalty is more not for the money, but it's for the contribution. As I said earlier on in the interview that you did with me earlier, it's about what do I want to achieve by the time I pull off the gloves and say, man, with media it's done. I want to be able to come out of this place and say, I came when things were like this. Now, the time when you would go to the street to interview someone on an issue that directly affects them, but they could not talk to you because they never trusted the media. So I want to come out of here saying that at the end of the day, this is what I've been able to change, or I've been able to contribute to change. For example, the discussions we hold on the show, the kind of guests we have on the show, we would never have like a homosexual come on the media to talk about their issues, their plights, their success, their achievements, some of the things that affect them deep within. These are minority people that some of us have said we will not give airtime for either reasons, either because of our beliefs or just because of our editorial lines. So I want to come out of this place when people say that, listen, we never had this happening, but when this guy came in and tried to add 1 and 2 and 3 here, we started having such things happening, and it has happened for the good of the industry.
Right.
That's what I want to do.
So you want to make a change.
That's the change I want to make. And I want also to contribute the experience I have that my mentor who died, Sputnik Kilambi, put in me. I want to pass that on. That is why I'm starting my own mentorship program.
I was going to ask you about that. Remember,
Yes.
we talked about it briefly during our interview. Tell me about it.
Now, the mentorship program will be for free. Any journalist or any aspiring journalist, anybody who's just clearing secondary school and would love to be in the media industry, or even is still young in primary school, but feels like I want to be like that guy, and they would love to hear from me in terms of advice or how they have to go about it, this is what the mentorship program will be doing. So I'll be answering questions, I'll be having people come on my shows just to experience how it, or what it takes to put that show on air. At the end of the day, I feel that that's a contribution that I'll be doing to the market as well. Because most of us say, oh, our journalists are not skilled.
Right.
But what are we doing about it?
Right.
What are we doing to change that?
Well, you know what? You have some big plans ahead, and we are definitely excited to see everything to come from you, and I'm sure that we will. Thank you so much for coming and sitting on the big couch this time.
Thank
and
you.
hopefully you will be able to still come and do some analysis with us and some newspapers chat some headlines. Huh?
Always a pleasure, Makeda.
All right, great to have you. Now, you don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Hot Topics. Welcome back, and it's that Hot Topics time again. As always, the Rise and Shine team have been out and about gathering everything you need to know about what's happening here and abroad, from what's trending on Twitter and Facebook to the debates in your local cafes and bars. We have it for you right here and right now. Hello, guys. Hello again. Welcome back. All right, so let's start off the Hot Topics with what we've kind of been doing, and I think people have been appreciating it. You just give us a little bit of an update about the Burundi situation.
Well, what's happening now is that we talked yesterday about the Rwandan that had been, well, there were rumors that he had been expelled. What's the latest thing, Arnold?
I didn't confirm that yet, but what we have is that President Nkurunziza is going to attend the East African Community Heads of Summit this Friday.
I have a problem with that, because what's going to happen is this will be taking place in Dar es Salaam, as Arnold told us yesterday, and this is happening, is it Saturday? Because I read on somewhere that it was
Friday. I think the presidents arrive on Friday, and then the meeting, because there's supposed to be a foreign affairs meeting, then they report.
That's prior to the president's report. So the thing where I'm worried about here is that, does he have allegiances among those presidents? Because if he's going, that means he knows he has some type of backing. He wouldn't be going knowing everybody's against.
I think it's a tricky situation for the presidents. One, when you look at the moral ground, President Museveni of Uganda doesn't have the moral ground to tell him not to stand for a third term. Yeah, and then President Nkurunziza, in his interview with BBC, said that he doesn't. The Arusha Code was just a code. It's not above the constitutional law, which he says he was granted power by the constitution to stand. President Kikwete came out and is against it. President Kagame hasn't given a clear position.
Hasn't he?
No, he hasn't given it, because he said, if your people don't want you, then why should you stand? That's different from saying you should not stand. So he hasn't given a clear position. And then President Kikwete again President Nkurunziza still has to show that he's still in control of the situation in Burundi that's being escalated by the media and the likes. Yesterday we saw over social media the policewoman who was shooting into the crowd, who was arrested by the crowd and handed over to the police, who also handled her badly. So there's a mixture. It's the police and the army. Are they in or are they out? Are they with the protesters or they're with the government?
Now guys, for a moment we knew that it seemed like the military was behind the protesters and the police was backing the president. How is it looking now? I mean, I'm a little bit confused. I don't know.
Again, on that, the chief of defense forces said the army said the army is with the president, but the minister of defense is on the other side. So there's still a clash between those two, who is in charge of the army. The army still remains neutral. but the Chief of Defense Forces says the army should back the incumbent as it's mandated to do because he is the Chief of Staff. Yeah, so with
I thought this will still be a hot topic to discuss every single day.
Definitely,
from
and
now
I think it's good. We're appreciating the updates that we're getting every day. But let's move on to the next hot topic. This one could be a touchy one for quite a few people. So, okay, apparently there was a Facebook post that a popular footballer actually posted. He's Togolese. His name is Emmanuel Adebayo. Okay.
Can you see the smirks on Arnold and my face right
Why?
now?
Is it a sport thing? Because let's move on, okay? All right. So basically, he posted on Facebook about being taken advantage of by his family. A long post, and basically saying, you know, how his mother is taken advantage, his siblings, and different things like that. And he just wants to talk about it, not to put them on blast or on the spot, but rather to save other African families from this. From that, there was a website called Capital Campus that put out an article basically saying that African families are leeches and they need to stop, okay?
No.
So basically, he's saying that, you know, a lot of times if one member of the family, in Africa especially, is making a little bit of money, they always have the responsibility to take care of the rest of the family, and sometimes families can take advantage of that, especially when that person is making a lot of money. Now, what do you guys think about this? Do you guys think that it's the truth?
I'm throwing
Do you
this to
think it's
Fidelis.
true? Or
I think that
you are the money. You are the money.
Yes.
yeah.
We need to go
No, I think it's more of a culture and the way we are raised, and the way we're raised, especially when growing up you didn't have too much or you didn't have enough. When you finally make it, you feel like you owe it to your family to.
Do you
give
feel
back
like
for
you
the
owe it
effort.
to your family, or they make you feel like you owe it to them?
Well, at least the families I know, like no one forces you to give back to them.
No. I really disagree. I
You
really disagree.
you know people who force you to give them money?
No, it's.
They
I've
will
seen this
guilt you
happen
into
at
giving them money.
so many times in Africa, and I feel Adebayo had a point here for so
Yeah.
many people.
And he's not the first to
No,
say
like
it
they'll
too.
come. No, I understand what you mean. Like, you know, even families, even relatives you've never met will come and be like, hey, so
They
my
want a
name
piece
is,
of that
hello, so my kids are struggling, they're not going to school. But honestly, for me, I feel like maybe that's
So what
just
should-
me.
what should
Again,
you do for those people?
again, that's just me. It's up to you really to decide whom you give your money to. But first and foremost, I personally would deal with like my close family, people who help me to become the person I am.
Well, I think
before I deal with like the others.
So
who I've
maybe
not
I
seen
should address what he was saying in the post. He was saying that, you know, he had given his mother quite a bit of money, flown her all over the place, bought a house, same for his siblings. He put them up in a house, a very expensive house in Togo, and you know, apparently they rented it out. They didn't tell him about, you know, what they were doing and different things like that. And and every time he tried to address them about it, he was met with only criticism, and they would say how ungrateful he is and how, you know, they've been there from the beginning. But I think where the problem comes in is that there has to be a line, right? So
and that's where I disagree with Fidelis. You know, we can agree to disagree, but
that's why it's called Hot Topics.
Right, but I do not believe there should be those who are, you know, entitled to something and those others who are
But
not.
that's what I'm telling you. That's just me.
I believe this has happened prior to
and
this.
how much are they entitled to? Are they
Exactly.
entitled to eat you out of house and home?
Exactly. This has happened earlier. It's not just in football. It has happened in music. It has happened in the movie industry. I mean, you see people like Hicham El Guerrouj and Noureddin Morsili.
Even private, if you own a company and
Right, all of a
because
sudden-
you own that company, you should be able to.
It's like Arnold is my sibling. His life changes, so I'm rich. No, he's rich. Then if I'm lucky, but I shouldn't even be waiting for his money.
So
to
that's
be-
what I'm telling you. It comes back down to the family you grew up in.
Here's
and
something
the
that you might
principles
relate
guys
to,
have.
business correspondent to you. What you might relate to, there was actually a part in his post where he was saying that he helped his brother start a business, and he gave him a lot of money. He says, quote, God only knows how much money that he ended up giving him, and now apparently the business isn't even there. There is no
After that, I
business
cannot
at
feel
all.
bad. If I do
Exactly.
that,
I've done my part for you. You're the one who went and messed it up. You know.
Right.
But that's the problem. That's it.
Again, it takes
Don't
us to the
expect
beginning
me
of
to
this.
help you
So
again.
are so many of African families leeches?
I wouldn't-
Yes.
No. I wouldn't say it like that. Okay, like I wouldn't say it like that.
I feel like you're under pressure.
No.
Fidelis is like, if my brother was a billionaire.
Politically correct. She's being politically
No,
correct.
what I'm saying is the word that they're using is wrong. They're not leeches. They just feel like we have been together.
They're
through
just
this
taking
struggle,
some of your blood.
So we should be together through the good times as well.
So yeah, I think no, and I think that Adebayo was saying that he has been quite generous and he's given everything that he can. But when you give that and you're expected to give more and more and more, and then you're abused on top of it, I suppose it's something
you draw
that's
the line.
a little bit hard to work with.
What we're talking about.
I mean, we've seen Fally Ipupa, a great Congolese singer, was saying how
again, why should it be you to draw the line, not them to draw the line?
Exactly.
I think we could go on all day. I think we could go on all day. This is just one of those hot topics.
That's
all right?
going to go on again after the show.
Now, before we have to wrap up completely, there's one last hot topic that I wanted to talk about. There is a journalist for Al Jazeera. He is an Egyptian journalist. Well, he's given up his Egyptian citizenship now. He's a naturalized Canadian called Mohamed Fahmy. And he was in jail in Cairo for 400 days, all right? So he was actually sentenced to a lot longer. Anyway, now he's decided with his lawyer that he's going to sue Al Jazeera for $100 million, US dollars, in damages for negligence, saying that, basically Al Jazeera kind of put him in this situation.
And they didn't help him get out.
And they didn't. They kind of just let him, go to the dogs. So basically, he wants that $100 million in compensation. What do you guys think about this? I mean, that's a hard situation.
I think he went. I understand him. I can understand the claims, and I can understand why he's suing them. But at the same time, some numbers make no sense. Some numbers you go, Is
there a price for your life?
Exactly. That's the thing.
No.
If there's not, then he shouldn't be asking for $100 million.
No. I feel he really deserves this $100 million because one.
Why not $200 million?
No, that's the figure.
That's what he wants.
That's what he wants. He
That's
deserves
what him and his
whatever
lawyer came up
Right.
with.
You're in this situation. You are working for your
We have
company.
to wrap up.
And I have to have contracts
make
for
your
these
last
things.
point. Arnold, make your last point, and then we're going to wrap up really quickly.
You have let's wrap up.
He has too much to say.
Don't forget, we love to hear your thoughts, your comments, and feedback on what we're talking about here. And clearly, we have a lot to talk about.
I think we have to continue tomorrow.
Right, on Rise and Shine Rwanda. Tweet us at Rise and Shine RW. Like us on Facebook and send us your ideas for programs. Check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda YouTube page where you can catch all the shows and the reports we do. Find us on Instagram, Rise and Shine RW. We'd love to see your pictures. Or check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda website.
Well, that's all the time that we have for today, but don't forget that we love to hear your thoughts, comments, and feedback on what we're talking about here on Rise and Shine Rwanda, especially when it's things like this, when
money is involved.
When everything is involved.
Two hot topics with money in it, man.
For sure.
The money.
Now, you've been watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. My name is Makeda Mahario.
And I'm Regis Isheja. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow, but on behalf of us too and this beautiful team here, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.